students, Dr. K here. I want to talk about one of the documents that we're going to be looking at, and it's, I don't know, juicy. It's an amazing document. And it's down here. It's this one called Charles Denby Argues for the Retention of the Philippines. Now, the Spanish-American War was fought in about 4 months. I wish all wars were that short. But one of the prizes that we win when we sign a treaty with Spain, we get 4 territories that Spain used to hold, and one of them was the Philippines. The other is Guam, and then there's 2 Caribbean islands, Cuba and Puerto Rico. So we need to look at those 4 in a sense. Now, what's important here to remember is this is the first war that the United States fights overseas. All the wars, the Revolutionary War, War of 1812, the Civil War, the Mexican-American War, all the wars, the Indian Wars, all of those were in North America in what is and will become the continental United States. This is different. This is us, the United States, going elsewhere to fight wars. And Charles Denby says of the prizes that should be kept, the Philippines is one of them. And after I read the document, I had one serious question. Who the heck is Charles Denby? So I'm going to answer that, but I'm going to divert a little bit here and to kind of show you, for those that are geographically mired, where the Philippines is. So if you took a flight, it would take a long time to get from San Francisco all the way to the Philippines. Now, you notice that the Philippines is pretty close to China. That's important to know. And then I want to show you where Guam is, because Guam is one of the prizes that we get. And so here's the Philippines where we were before. Guam is like a gateway to the Philippine Sea. And I want you to think, why was it important for the United States to keep Guam and to keep the Philippines? And think about it. So this is the day before there were airplanes, right? None of these. So you had to, if you wanted to be part of the Pacific Rim trade, you needed ships. And ships back then, 1898, most of them ran on coal. Coal that you burned in boilers. The boilers made steam. The steam drove the pistons up and down, which turned the propellers, which made the ships go across the ocean. So here we have, leaving San Francisco, you might hit Hawaii, and then you might hit Midway, and then you might hit Guam, and then you might hit the Philippines, and then you need all these coaling stations to get from one place to another. You couldn't carry that much coal aboard a ship. So this is one of the reasons why Hawaii was important, Guam was important, the Philippines was important, because you needed that to get these ships, these steam-driven ships, all the way across the Pacific Ocean. Okay, good. So to show you the other prizes that we won, one here is Puerto Rico, which is still a United States territory, by the way, and Cuba. So these are the 4 biggies that we win. And of course, this is the United States, Florida, there's Cuba, and then Puerto Rico down here. So I need you to know what was at stake here in the war and what prizes the United States. To the spoils! Oh no, to the victor go the spoils. That's it. That's it. All right. So now back to the question, who the heck is Charles Denby? So who the heck is Charles Denby? Well, I've got to take you to one more place before we answer that question. I know, it's suspenseful. Who is Charles Denby? One more stop, please. Okay, so a couple pictures. One is this one, a political cartoon. I got 2 political cartoons to show you, and this will kind of help explain what's kind of going on here during and after the Spanish-American War. If we zoom in a little bit, we can see the title, Uncle Sam's New Class in the Art of Self-Government. So this is a classroom environment here, and we see Uncle Sam beating the heck out of children. What? Oh, yeah. If you look closely, these children are called Gorilla and Cuban Patriot. So Cuba was really complicated because Cuba had been fighting an independent movement for at least 4 decades until we came along. And here now, after we win them, they're still fighting amongst themselves. So the teacher, Mr. Uncle Sam, is whacking them over the head. You know, they're bad students. Not like this student over here. This is Aguinaldo. Aguinaldo, yes, he was the leader of the Filipino insurgent movement against Spain. Now, it's important to know that the United States asked Aguinaldo to come back to the Philippines and to take charge of the Filipino insurgent, and they promised Aguinaldo, help us beat Spain, and we will reward you with your own country. You will self-govern the Filipino Republic. Please help us. And of course, Aguinaldo did, and the United States reneged. Yeah, we didn't allow the Philippines to self-govern themselves, which is where the Charles Denby document comes in. Now, over here are some other countries. We see Hawaii and Puerto Rico being very nice students with Uncle Sam. Very instructive cartoon indeed. There's another one I wish to show you. This one is Teddy Roosevelt, and he's carrying a very big stick. And if you look down here, this is the Caribbean Sea that he's stepping all over, and he's towing in line the U.S. Navy, and the U.S. Navy is acting as a debt collector, the sheriff, kind of keeping things in tune. We also see here Santo Domingo Island, Cuba, Mexico, Panama, Venezuela, all these countries. Another very cool and very instructive document. Anyway, who the heck is Charles Denby, Dr. K? It's killing me. All right, we'll go there. Who the heck is Charles Denby? Well, the place that I want to go to discover who Charles Denby is eBay. Yeah. Look, usually people of historical significance somehow find themselves on eBay. And it's a good place for historians to go check every once in a while. So Charles Denby, if he's somebody, should show up in eBay, right? I mean, he might have written a book. He might have been put on a plate. Who knows? Let's go find eBay here. Here's eBay. I'll click on it. Search for anything. Okay, I'm going to search for Charles Denby. There he is. And then I'm going to click go, and it looks like Charles Denby cigar tip tray, a large rare style cigar box opener, another cigar box, and as you see, if we kind of click these open, that Charles Denby might have been, I don't know, a cigar guy. And look at this down here. Member of the Philippine Commission, 1899. I think I'm beginning to know who Charles Denby is. Charles Denby makes cigars. Now this is super, super important because if we go back to our maps here, and if we look at this map in particular, we know that the best cigars in the world are made in Cuba. And that's something. So retention of Cuba is important for Charles Denby because then he can make the best cigars in the world. Dr. K, he was arguing for retention of the Philippines? Yes, he was. So for that map, I got to go back to here. He was looking to retain Manila, the big Manila. I'm out here in the middle of the ocean now. But yes, go away. Because if he can get to Manila, then you can see quite clearly it's just a gateway to China. Now this is interesting because Charles Denby can get tobacco to feed his cigar factories from Cuba to his cigar factories in the United States and then ship those cigars not to the Philippines. The Philippines is just a coal station, but to China, the most populous country on the planet. Not only that, But here's the really cool thing about Charles Denby. He's a junior. Charles Denby Jr. he had a dad, Charles Denby Sr., who was a consulate, an American consulate, hired by the U.S. government in China. This is wild. In fact, he was there for like 20 years. And like this little junior guy, Charles Denby Jr., grew up and could speak fluent Mandarin, Chinese. He knew the Chinese people. So when we read this document, now we know who Charles Denby is. It's really going to resonate with you. I hope this is kind of helpful. Anyway, I was thinking about you, thinking about this document. Hope you take it into consideration because self-interest is what drove Charles Denby. Self-interest is what drives the United States economy. Supposedly, allegedly, well, it did back then, does it now. See you later. Action.